We are awaiting Mr. M.C. Mehta and our Honorable Judge. I hope they will join in due course. But since we are all like soldiers trying to protect the environment, we shall start the deliberations, and I'm sure in due course they may join. To begin with, I would like to recall that wonderful message given by the United Nations Secretary General on the occasion of the World Environment Day, and also the message that he gave on the occasion of the Earth Day, Mother Earth Day. They have used the word mother. Now that indicates that the planet Earth, we in India, we have always considered our planet as our mother. But now the same terminology is coming into usage worldwide. And it reflects that in the days to come, we have to adopt a type of living which can be known as sustainable living. And we need to be in harmony with nature. And with these few opening remarks,
Yes.
I would like to focus on the environmental legislation that already exists in this country. Apart from Section 133 CRPC and the wonderful legislation that came into being after the Stockholm Conference, 1972 Stockholm Conference. After that, we have the Water Act of 74. Then pollution control boards, both at the center and the states, they came into being in the year 1976. We have the Protection of Air, or in other words, the Prevention of Air Pollution Act. It is known as the Air Act of 1981. And 3 years later, the world's worst industrial accident occurred in Bhopal, and India paid a very heavy penalty in terms of life. The question is that we, the people, including our governments, we have not learned any lessons from Bhopal. And almost every year we find similar mini or maxi Bhopals happening. Some are reported, some are not properly reported. As a result, there is a continuous loss of life and property. Friends, after the Bhopal gas disaster, we come to the most important act, that is the Environment Protection Act, EP Act, 1981. And the task of implementing the Water Act, Air Act, and EP Act was entrusted to the Pollution Control Board, which was created in the year 1976. Now, what the Pollution Control Board, as the very name indicates, Pollution Control Board, they think that they are, more concerned about only pollution. And never do they really focus on the totality of the subject, that is environment. And in my experience with the PCB for the last 35 years, is that they are blissfully ignorant, or probably they don't want to look into the many-sidedness of the subject. As a result, several key issues are not taken into consideration. For example, while siting of the industries, or laying of a road, building a dam, or even about a nuclear fuel complex or a atomic nuclear power plant, and so on. Friends, the need of the hour today is that India needs an EPA, Environment Protection Authority, to be established on the lines of the Election Commission of India. And this EPA should be autonomous. The most important thing is that it should consist of people who know the subject, who have the guts to be independent. Their loyalty should be to the Constitution and to the people and the environment, not to the persons who are in power, not to the party in power. So it is very difficult to get such people, but then we need to make a thorough selection and get the best from in the 135 crores population, they should be independent and loyal to the people and to the environment. Otherwise, EPA logic will not work. It will become another pollution control board. And I am not saying this. The Supreme Court of India several times, they have given direction to the central government. And I remember very well, in fact, they have fixed certain time limits also. Unfortunately, elections came and everybody forgot. And here I want to speak about the institutional memory. Sir, we have one of the finest judiciary in the world. Supreme Court is wonderful. They have been delivering historic and landmark judgments in favor of the people, in favor of environment. But the problem is one of compliance. Why are these decisions or directions or judgments? Why are they not being implemented? Okay, they are not implemented. Then what is the big punishment the chief secretaries get? I have yet to see chief secretaries being put behind the bar or a chairman and member secretary of the pollution control board. They have no respect for the Supreme Court orders. And sometimes I get a feeling that in the name of federalism, the states are drifting apart. They have no respect for the constitution. And there is no mechanism in place to correct. There should be a correctional mechanism in place. Now, coming to the Supreme Court again, hundreds of judgments thanks to Justice P. N. Bhagwati, right from his days, Justice Krishna Iyer earlier, and after that we have Justice Kuldeep Singh, and thanks to the initiative of MC Mehta, always in the forefront trying to protect the people and the environment. The Indian Council of Enviro-Legal Action was always in the forefront. Several judges played a very important role. But today, what is the final picture? What is the balance sheet? I have been an activist for the last 35 years. Myself and my friend Dr. Kishan Rao, we filed so many cases in the Supreme Court of India. MC Mehta was our advocate. We got more than 40 orders from the Supreme Court. 40 directions every 6 months, 8 months. The court was in fact monitoring. But in spite of that, the state government, earlier Andhra Pradesh, now Telangana, they don't bother. And the chief secretary or nobody is put behind the bars. So people get a doubt. People are waiting for justice, but justice is being denied to them. So how do we overcome this? We are not here to talk politics, but at the same time, let me also remind this wonderful gathering, the audience, that people are not going to wait eternally. Gone are the days, this country where the focus was on karma, and that kind of thing will not work now. People are impatient. They have been waiting in the queue for justice, and justice is being denied to them. So don't ever expect them to wait eternally. That's not going to happen. Today's India, the people of India are highly informed. All of them have a smartphone, and within minutes, the information reaches out, and it is good. We welcome that they are highly informed. And an informed people of India, if they become the citizens of India, responsible citizens of India, and when they begin to perform, what happens? Our legislature, executive, judiciary, they should not be lagging. People are more informed, but the organs of the government are not as fast as the expectations of the people. As a result, there is a yawning gap between the aspirations of the people and the performance of the three organs of the government. So this we have to rectify. Today we are all meeting under the shadow of Corona. The whole world is under emergency. There has been a global lockdown, and this is the first time in the entire world. In my 77 years of life, I have not seen anything like this. Friends, When we are discussing this subject under the shadow of Corona, and don't ever think that this was not expected. It was very well known. In fact, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change had clearly predicted as and how the temperatures would rise, new variants of viruses will come into being. This was projected, and India, fortunately, we already had NDMA, National Disaster Management Authority, and they had published a book, a report on the kind of preparedness that India would require in the event of such pandemics, some such viruses coming to India. Because already, if you look at the last 30, 40 years, viruses of different variations had come to different countries, including India, chikungunya, Ebola, swine flu, and all kinds of influenzas. So, bird flu. This is not something new. But then NDMA, that particular report is missing now, and inquiry has not been ordered to trace the report. How come the report of such a prestigious organization be missing? Will there be only one copy? Won't there be, at least, even assuming if there is only one hard copy, then where has it gone? What about the soft copies? Why is it not being published? The question is, on the part of India, there was no preparedness. And again, when I say India, believe me, friends, there is not a single government in the entire world which can be described as being prepared to meet this pandemic. You know why? All the governments in the world, they are simply towing the line of the corporates. They have forgotten the poorest of the poor. And a simple thing, till the lockdown was imposed, there was not a single IAS officer in the PMO office who could visualize the plight of the migrant workers. By one single stroke, they have created such a major problem for the extreme poor who had to migrate within the country, walk long distances just for to make a livelihood, and they are all skilled people. And this thing happened in India, and we are supposed to be a democracy. The question is whether our democracy is working for the poor, or the poorest of the poor, or the common man, or is it working clandestinely in favor of a few corporates? That you, as a distinguished legal fraternity, you have to think, because public, when we look at the people, I'm a political scientist. I've been working with the people for the last 35 years, and I know their rising aspirations. I'm also conscious of the performances of political parties. Every political party is controlled by the corporates, and when it comes to elections, corporates simply go to that particular political party, pay lump sum money, take a ticket, and go to the constituency. So, in such a situation, what should be the nature of the constitution? I sometimes feel that India must go in for a new constituent assembly, because our constitution is originally the largest constitution in the world, and also amended so many times that it becomes extremely difficult for a new person to come to grips with the constitution. What is constitution? It is a book of rules and regulations. But if the book is so large and very difficult to interpret, it becomes only a lawyer's a weapon in the hands of the lawyers. That is not, the average citizen of this country should be able to refer to the constitution and abide by the constitution. Right now, they are unable to make anything out of the constitution, and nothing wrong. We should consider this. Now, coming to just another 5 minutes, I'll conclude. Friends, today we are in the 21st century, a new millennium, and I remember the dawn of this particular millennium, year 2000. There were large expectations on one side. There were also fears about the IT collapse, some kind of, but nothing happened. And the world came in to adopt the Millennium Development Goals. These are 8 in number. And since everybody knows MDGs, I'm not going into the details. 15 years was the time before the nations of the world, and they had to do and come up with public policies and set up new institutions in order to address those 8 critical issues. But then, so there was some progress, but nobody says nothing has been done. Now we go to the next level. From 1/1/2016, it is the Sustainable Development Goals. And these are 17 goals, 169 targets. And I, as a political scientist teaching this subject for more than 50 years, every goal is so important. Right from the first one, which says there should not be any poverty. But again, our Indian political parties, they think that simply putting about 2,000, 3,000 rupees in the bank accounts of the poorest of the poor, they think they have addressed that particular issue. Which is wrong. Poverty can never be driven away without protecting their background ecosystems, without protecting biodiversity, without restoring the damaged ecosystems. That cannot be addressed. And these, Indian political parties, and we organized, we have on behalf of CGR, we organized meetings in Delhi also, and we tried to put some sense in the political parties. And on that particular day, a few representatives came and they expressed support, but none of them took proper initiative to ensure that the SDGs were incorporated in their respective manifestos. As a result, today we find things they are not moving in that direction. Not a single chief minister ever speaks about SDGs. See, there is a total, dichotomy. On one side, the aspirations of the people, they want sustainable development. They want their essential needs to be fulfilled. They want a development model which will usher in green development, green technologies. On the other side, we have the governments clandestinely empowering all the already empowered corporates. And the best example is that the Ministry of Environment recently, last 2 months, they have given, the Forestry Department, the Environment Department, Wildlife Committees at the center and the states, they have given permissions to encroach 32 wonderful ecosystems, forest ecosystems. Maybe sometimes in the name of building a road or building a dam or mining, and all this only to favor the corporates, and in not a single issue was public hearing done, because this is COVID times, and they thought it ideal for them to push their agenda and favor the corporates, but people are watching. Friends, what the world now requires is a major paradigm shift. This has to be, because this is the enlightened audience of India. All of us are together. We should assume that we are the think tank and we need to take the initiative. Yes, we have to come out openly and say that India requires what we call a major paradigm shift. And this paradigm shift should be in favor of the environment. It should be in favor of the poorest of the poor. It should address the essential needs of the poor on a sustainable basis. But at the same time, when we come to Sustainable Development Goal number 8, when we are talking about work with dignity, yes, everybody's right to work has to be recognized, appreciated, and enabled. And for that, we require new technologies. And these technologies, for example, I'll give you instead of building a major dam, we can go in for what we call T. Hanmantrao's 4 water concept. You can refer to the internet and it is there. Four, FOUR. One is the rainwater harvesting total, second is storing in groundwater, creating surface water bodies, and the last one is ensuring the moisture in the topsoil. And this has to be done because everybody has, under goal number 6, sustainable development goal number 6, access to water is universal. Every farmer has a right to water, and particularly the farmers, because for them this water is the biggest input uh, in their activity. Without water, they simply can't do. It is connected with their right to livelihood and therefore right to life. We have to, our generation cannot afford to, sit comfortably in our drawing rooms, and it's not like the earlier times. Now everything has changed. We have to go in for new technologies, new approaches, and basically we should all be working. As coming to the topic of biodiversity once again, there are two goals, SDG 14 and 15. 14 talks about life in water. 15 talks regarding life on land. These are the very fact that two goals have been reserved for the protection of biodiversity. It speaks volumes about the concern of the UN, because after the MDGs, there was a feeling that a healing touch need to be given to our planet Earth, and that's why the SDGs have come into being. They are intended to give protection to every form of life. We should all condemn what happened in Kerala. How come somebody kills an elephant, and that is not the way? See, it is the worst manifestation. Human beings, have we degenerated to such low level as to put a bomb in a pineapple and feed it to the elephant? What cruelty! What has become to? So we need to introspect. We should condemn. We should, a very serious punishment should be there. But at the same time, we the people should, all of us should be ashamed that to what levels we have befallen. I sincerely appreciate, I'm a big fan of Pushpakumar Garu, and I was earlier at the Delhi Law School, thanks to Pavan. Today, MC Mehta, my dear friend, he could not be here, but he is always with your center. And today is not the only day. In the days to come, Mr. Mehta will be myself together. We are always with you, and we'll work together to bring about suitable changes for the speedy delivery of justice to the people. Thank you very much. Thank you, Pushpakumar Garu. So thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir.
I have a few points in the light of the discussion that went on after my lecture. So basically, every law college, they should make it mandatory for the students to file a public interest litigation during their course of study. PIL it's like a project work. I have done this with the help of students from Symbiosis Law School, Hyderabad, and also two other colleges. We file cases for the proper collection and management of the urban waste, that is one. For River Musi also we filed. Dr. Indrasena Reddy also filed the case, but we also, together we have filed another case. And the students, when they file a case, they collect a lot of information, they go to the problem, they go talk to the people, and they become in a way social scientists. And that very experience of appearing during their study time, for example, in NGT or in the High Court, that confidence will enable them, and they become very good protectors of environment in the days to come. Just one more point. See, unless I was pleading for a paradigm shift, because the existing state structure, government structure is not going to help the environment. I have already made it clear that they are in favor of the corporates, and to protect the human rights, to protect the right to life and right to livelihood of the people, including their right to health, clean surroundings. It's very important that every law student, along with the professors, they have to, rope in political scientists, economists, and other fields, because the subject itself is interdisciplinary. We need to make it really interdisciplinary group, and then definitely we need to file the cases, and other things will definitely follow. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Hello.
sir. Very, very nice points. It really gives us a good shape of our discussion, that in what direction we have to work.